Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com for Thursday, June 24th, 2021. Kevin Rogers with you as we take a look back at the exciting opener of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Hawks and the Bucks. Atlanta now up 1-0, and Trae Young has the Hawks 3 wins away from the NBA Finals, which is insane. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Also, we'll look at the Major League Baseball slate for Thursday. Couple afternoon games, a lot of night games to go over. First, though, I want to remind you about the Daily Insider Contest, which we have every day, Monday through Friday, here on the Daily Insider, and it's very easy, in fact, to enter. Now, winning is not easy, but it's easy to enter. All you got to do is put in the comments section below this video your Vegas Insider user ID along with your best bet for the day. It can be Major League Baseball, the NBA, NHL, WNBA, doesn't matter. And it's got to be before the game. It cannot be a live bet. It has to be either a side, a total before the game. It can be a player prop. It can be a first 5-inning bet in baseball. It can be a first half bet in the NBA. Doesn't matter. It just cannot be a live bet. And you put that down in the comment section below. If you win your bet, you will be in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks on VegasInsider.com from one handicapper. That's a $100 value, and you get that for free if you win the drawing. Now, if you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, it's very simple to get one. Go up to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. Free membership. Register now. Click on that, and then create a user ID and password. Put in your email address, your name and phone number so we can get in contact with you, and you'll be all set. And again, it's free to register. So that is what we have going every day, pretty much here on the Daily Insider. So let us begin with last night in the NBA. And of course, just like everybody thought, the Atlanta Hawks would be up 1-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Easy. So Atlanta, a couple things about them. That was a back and forth game. The Bucks were up by 5 at the half. They had a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter, but Atlanta just did not go away. And Trae Young had one of the top games, if not the top game of his career, in a big moment. 48 points, 11 assists. He was 17 of 34 from the floor. Guy took 34 shots and went to the line 12 times. But John Collins, 23 points. Really good contribution there. The shooters for the Hawks, the outside shooters, did not have a great night. Bogdanovich, Gallinari, Lou Williams, Herter, they combined to go in the game last night. What is that, 3 of 12? So that's not good. And they were 8 of 32 from three-point range, the Atlanta Hawks. But yet, they did enough because of Trae Young, who had 48 points. And on the flip side, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he scored 34. He was actually 6 of 8 from the line and only took 2 3-point attempts. So Giannis wasn't really the reason that the Bucks lost that game last night. They were 8 of 36 from 3. Chris Middleton was 0 of 9 from 3. Connaughton 0 of 4, and he airballed that game-tying 3 late. Drew Holiday took 12 3-pointers. He made 5 of them. And look, Drew Holiday at 33, Antetokounmpo at 34, Middleton at 15, Bobby Portis had 11. I mean, needless to say, Milwaukee has to shoot the ball better. Now, I don't know if you say it's a miracle that game went over 225. 53-point first, 60 in the second, 60 in the third, and you had a bit of a slow start in the fourth quarter before it picked up late. And in fact, Giannis hit 2 free throws to go over the total late, and then Trae Young hit a few free throws, and that was the final 116-113, and that total dropped down to 225. But the Hawks, though, they've won the opener now in 3 straight series, all on the road at New York, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. And Atlanta, just to put this one out there, they have lost game 2 in each of the first 2 series to the Knicks and the Sixers, and in those 2 losses, they lost by 9 and by 16 in the first 2 rounds after winning game 1. And the under hit in both game 2s. So just putting that one out there for the Atlanta Hawks. Now, for Milwaukee, this is the second time that they have now lost an opening game in a series because they got blown out by Brooklyn. Now, granted, they were on the road in the last series to start as opposed to being at home. But the Bucks went over the total in Game 2 against the Heat after narrowly beating them in Game 1 and then stayed way under the total in Game 2 against Brooklyn in the second round. So this is the first time that the Bucks, in fact, have hit back-to-back overs so far in the postseason. Game 7 against Brooklyn and Game 1 against Atlanta. But now the Bucks going into game number 2 on Friday night, they are 7.5-point favorite, and total up a bit to 226.5. And again, you're probably not expecting Trae Young to score nearly 50 points, but also the outside shooting for both the Hawks and Bucks should improve, but still went over the total in spite of a poor shooting night from both of those teams. Now, let's look at tonight's game. The Suns and Clippers Western Conference Finals, that is shifting to Staples Center. And Chris Paul returning to the Phoenix lineup after he missed the first 2 games due to being in the COVID protocol. And the Suns didn't skip a beat without Chris Paul. Now, obviously, the Clippers are missing Kawhi Leonard. Paul George can only do so much. Now, the Clippers had Game 2, I don't want to say in the bag because that still was, a back-and-forth game towards the end, and Paul George missed a couple key free throws, and the Suns needed an inbound play and an alley-oop to beat them. But the Clippers got it kicking themselves because they should be tied at 1 with the Suns going back to L.A., and the Suns, even without their point guard, who has helped their resurgence this season. I mean, you can't, discount obviously what Devin Booker's done or what DeAndre Ayton's done. And they have a lot of really good role players in the Suns, and they're well coached by Monty Williams. But the Clippers, without Kawhi Leonard, they were right there on the doorstep to beat Phoenix in Game 2 and couldn't do it. So now they go home, down 2-0. The only thing for the Clippers, though, that's in their favor, or one of the things in their favor, is they were down 2-0 to Dallas, came back and won Game 3 and eventually won that series. They were down 2-0 to Utah, came back home, blew out the Jazz, and ended up winning that series. So the Clippers, they've not fallen in a 3-0 hole. They've been down 2-0 already in 3 straight series. But they have not fallen into a 3-0 hole yet in the playoffs. But, of course, you'll have a different dynamic with Chris Paul back in the lineup for the Phoenix Suns. And for the Clippers, Paul George can keep scoring 30-some points a game. He needs the help behind him. And Reggie Jackson's done his part so far in the series. Terrence Mann had that huge Game 6 against Utah. We haven't really seen him show up in this series for L.A. Marcus Morris is probably not 100% for the Clippers. And you have all these other veterans. I mean, Rajon Rondo's hit a couple threes. DeMarcus Cousins had a good Game 1. But who else is going to step up for L.A.? Where Phoenix, you're going to get from Booker, from Ayton. Chris Paul's obviously going to contribute tonight. Cameron Payne had a huge Game 2 for the Suns. That there just may be a little bit more in the arsenal for Phoenix going into Game 3 and moving forward, as opposed to what LA has. And Phoenix has won 9 straight games. They were down 2-1 to the Lakers, and of course we know Anthony Davis got hurt, so that kind of altered things in that series. But Phoenix won 3 straight against the Lakers, 4 straight against Denver, and now the first 2 against the Clippers. So they're on a 9-0 run, and you just don't want to feel like you want to go against them just because, and now Phoenix gets Chris Paul back. And the total's 221 in this game. We saw the over hit in game number 1. Game 2 was an easy under. It was under the entire time. You just had to hope that there was no overtime. But 120-114 in the opener, 104-103 in game 2. So the total went from 220 in the opener to 222.5 in game 2. Now it's back to 221. But, of course, the big X factor is Chris Paul coming back and how the Suns are going to respond with him. But I do like Phoenix. I don't care how chalky it is or may seem, but I just feel like you can't fade Phoenix right now. You just can't do it with the way that they have been, the way they've been playing. Let's go take a look now at Major League Baseball, and no interleague today. You have a good slate. The Nationals beat the Phillies yesterday 13-12 in a wacky game. Obviously, they went back and forth. Phillies were up 5-0, blew it. Washington came back and won. Now the Nationals have won 9 of 10. And they go to Miami tonight to take on the Marlins. The Nationals, they're playing very well right now. And Joe Ross takes the mound for the Nats. Give you a couple total numbers on Joe Ross. He comes in, Nationals 10-2-1 to the under in his 13 starts this season, 7-1-1 to the under on the road. And Washington also 6-1 to the under after scoring 8 or more runs. So normally they go backwards from a run-scoring perspective after they have a huge output. So maybe look for that one to go backwards. Cody Poteet goes for the Marlins, making only a second home start of the season, and he didn't give up a run against the Mets last time he pitched at home. And Washington swept Miami in D.C. when they played earlier in the season. The Marlins got no offense against the Nationals in that series. Could see that one going backwards and a low-scoring game. Braves and the Reds, they start a 4-game set in Cincinnati tonight. That's a playoff rematch. The Braves, remember, knocked out the Reds in that best-of-3 series last year in Atlanta where the Reds couldn't score any runs. And Atlanta not exactly going with a big gun on the mound tonight. They're going to go with the bullpen game this evening. And the Braves, who ended up splitting the 4-game set with the Mets, but they couldn't get a lot of offense going last night. So we still don't know who their starting pitcher is. And for the Reds, who's going for them tonight, it's Tony Santillan, if I'm saying his name correctly. He actually pitched, I remember that 2 starts ago against the Rockies at home, went 4 2/3, allowed 1 run in a 6-2 win over Colorado. I mean, Colorado can't beat anybody on the road. They did beat Seattle yesterday, but they're still the worst road team in baseball. And then his last start, he allowed 2 home runs in 3 innings and an 8-2 loss to the Padres. So now he gets the Braves tonight at home and a 10.5 total. But look, we don't know what or how Atlanta's pitching situation is going to unfold. They have a lot of injuries right now with their pitching staff. That they got some issues. Max Fried is hurt, and this is what it's turning into for Atlanta. That past Ian Anderson and even Charlie Morton, who's pitched very well the last few games, that Atlanta doesn't have a lot of other guys to turn to in their rotation. I mean, they're going through Kyle Wright, Kyle Muller, Drew Smyly, Tucker Davidson. So there's not a lot of faith, I think, with the Braves right now, but we'll see how that one unfolds in Cincinnati tonight. The Pirates and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium and St. Louis, a perfect 5-0 against Pittsburgh this season. The Cardinals actually, I don't know when they're going to get their offense going. It's really bad. They're 36-38, and they just lost a pair of games to the Tigers on the road, and Detroit's actually playing a little better of late. But I'll pull it up here on the screen for you, that St. Louis, look what their offense has done or hasn't done of late. 2 runs each against Detroit. They got shut out in the second game against Atlanta Sunday night, 1-0. They scored 1 run the game before that, 0-1-2, 4-0-2. That they can't really get a lot of offense going of late, and they hit all 3 unders in their last home series against the Marlins. Now they get Pittsburgh for 4. Carlos Martinez takes the mound for St. Louis. He actually pitched well against Pittsburgh last time they played them at PNC Park. Chad Kuhl goes for Pittsburgh, and he is coming off of a good performance. And it's kind of a misleading box score because he started against Cleveland. They won 11-10. He went 6 innings, allowed 1 earned run. Pittsburgh was up 11-1 in that game. Cleveland came all the way back against the Pirates bullpen, made it 11-10, and had runners on second and third in the ninth inning with a shot to take the lead. But then the Indians struck out and they lost 11-10. But Cool pitched well in that one. That was his best start of the season. Now it's just about, can he somehow pitch as well in his next start? And Cool also, he's 7-1 to the over so far this season, and that total at 9 tonight. But you're just expecting St. Louis to score runs, which has not been a guarantee. Cubs and Dodgers, they meet out in L.A. That's the late night game this evening. That's the chase game. And last time these teams met up, and of course they have playoff history, but remember Chicago took all three from L.A. back in early May, and there was a couple 7-inning wins for the Cubs during that span. They also ran Clayton Kershaw in the first game of that series. He lasted 1 inning, gave up 4 runs, and the Cubs won a couple games by a run. Now they go out to L.A., and they get Walker Buehler, which will not be easy. Well, first of all, the Dodgers just got swept by the Padres. So L.A. should be focused tonight after even Trevor Bauer said following last night's loss to the Padres, we weren't focused. We didn't have no intensity. And if that's the case, you'd think that L.A. should come out tonight, especially losing to the Cubs 3 times at Wrigley earlier in the season. But the Dodgers, though, Walker Buehler, the Dodgers are 6-1 his last 7 starts, and he hasn't allowed a run in his last 2 starts. In fact, he faced the Pirates and the Rangers. So we got to, well, those were in 2 of his starts, and even before that, he faced Arizona too during the stretch. 9-3 win. So Pirates, Rangers, Diamondbacks, not exactly great competition. Cubs did beat the Indians 7-1 a few nights ago after they got shut out by Cleveland 4-0. And the problem with the Cubs is they had this nice stretch where they went on a 5-game winning streak. They swept the Cardinals at home. Since then, they're just 3-6 the last 9 games. And Chicago did take 2 at San Diego back on their last West Coast trip, but they also, when you look at the Cubs, I got to mention this number, series openers. I know the Dodgers are a heavy favorite tonight. Series openers, lost 4-0 to Cleveland, 10-2 to the Marlins, 5-2 to the Mets, did beat St. Louis 8-5, lost to San Diego 9-4, lost to San Francisco 7-2. So during this last little stretch, 1-5 of the last 6 series openers for the Cubs. And they're going to send out Zach Davies to the mound tonight. And for Davies, he's been completely up and down. ERA not good on the road, over 5. But he did have back-to-back scoreless appearances against the Padres and the Cardinals. Did get rocked by the Marlins last time out, allowing 8 earned runs. So you'd think he's going to pitch better tonight against the Dodgers. But again, LA, very focused right now, you would think. I mean, I always hated saying this team is ready. Like, we don't know if they're ready. They could play like crap again. Like that, it could easily happen because they just didn't play well against San Diego. And who knows if they'll return home and play well. But you would assume with the circumstances, getting swept by the Padres, getting swept by the Cubs the last time they played them, and Chicago not playing well in series openers. Zach Davies was racked his last time out. Walker Buehler has pitched very well. You'd think things would align for the Dodgers to come back tonight. But again, I don't know how confident you would be in laying 250 with LA, but those are the factors that are in their corner. So I don't want to go out and say, well, LA is going to be focused tonight. Like, who cares? Like, you can't handicap that. You can't predict that. So that's the National League. Let's go to the American League. In the first game getting started in about 40 minutes, it's the Royals and the Yankees out of Yankee Stadium. And so far through 2 games in this series, we saw Kansas City win 6-5 in the opener. Yankees won last night 6-5. And both games were 2-2 going to the 7th. And then things blew up when the bullpens hit. Because Garrett Cole pitched well in the first game, but then everything fell apart after he left the game. So last night, this is how it went. And I'm going to pull up the line score so you can see it from last night. So the Royals up 2-0. Yankees tied at 2. Then look at this in the 8th. 3-2 Royals, 4-3 Yankees, 5-4 Royals off Aroldis Chapman, and then 6-5 Yankees. So all of that back and forth, and again, that one, that total shouldn't burn. I'm leaving just a quick side note. If you had Giants-Angels under, we apologize. That game was, let me just show you this really fast, quick digression. That was a 1-1 game heading to the 10th. On an 8 total, was a 9-3 final. That San Francisco totally blew up in the 13th. They got 7, because I believe it was 2-2 going into that 13th inning. Got 7 runs. I mean, what a kick in the nads that is. All right, so back to the Royals and the Yankees. And you've had 2 games that have gone back and forth with these 2 teams. And Kansas City has actually played very well in this series. Since getting swept by the Tigers at home, they are 3-2 the last 5 facing the Red Sox and Yankees, so that's not terrible. I mean, the competition, it's still top-tier competition what they're facing. So let's now go back to the odds for today, and Brad Keller goes for the Royals. Jameson Taillon goes for New York. Taillon's got really good numbers at home this season for the Yankees, and again, I don't know if you want to lay 210. I don't feel good about laying 200 in any of these games just because there's too much that can happen. But that total at 9, I feel like that one can stay under today after you saw a pair of overs the first 2 because you had clear-cut unders before it hit the 7th inning, that things were on a really good trend to go over, and then it all fell apart. The second afternoon game today in Major League Baseball, it's Oakland and Texas. Chris Bassett and Colby Allard on the mound. And Bassett looking to give the A's the series win after they routed the Rangers 2 nights ago. Actually, I should say the series split, excuse me. So Texas won last night 5-3 behind Mike Foltynewicz. And Texas actually playing all right now. They've won 2 of 3. So, I mean, that's an accomplishment for them. So Chris Bassett trying to get the A's the series split against the Rangers. And Chris Bassett 7-2 so far in the season. The A's, they had won 7 straight starts by Bassett before losing to the Yankees his last time out. That was a 7-5 defeat. A game that Oakland was up going into the 6th inning, and the Yankees rallied back to win. So Bassett has pitched well. He's allowed 2 earned runs or less in 5 of the last 6 starts. I mean, he's obviously, you have him and Manaea have been the best pitchers for the A's so far on the season. But, I mean, Manaea's got an ERA around 3. But for Texas, with Colby Allard going and the Rangers trying to get a rare series victory, Allard's got an ERA of 2.93, which is not bad, and he's had some tough luck of late, even though he's allowed 2 earned runs or less in all 4 of his starts. Allowed 2 earned runs in a 5-0 loss to Seattle. Allowed 2 earned runs in a 3-0 loss to Tampa Bay. He didn't allow a run in a 12-1 defeat of the Dodgers as a plus 230 underdog, so that was his best performance. And then last time out, lost 3-2 to the Twins after blowing a 2-0 lead. So Allard's pitched well for Texas, and Bassett's going to be a chalky play today. Baltimore and Toronto, they're playing once again after they had their little fracas last week at Camden Yards. And the Blue Jays off of a series win at Miami. They pull off, they pull off series sweeps or season series sweeps of the Braves and Marlins this year. So, I mean, I know the Marlins are not supposed to do very well, but Toronto's owned these teams so far in the season. They played well against Philadelphia earlier in the campaign, so Toronto's the champions of the NL East so far on the season. So they get Baltimore tonight. Anthony Kay takes the mound for the Blue Jays, and I mean this Toronto team. I mean they lead the league in pitchers with 3 letters in her last name, K, Ray, and Ryu? I guess so. I don't think you can find anybody else that could do that. But Anthony K so far on the campaign for Toronto, the former UConn Husky, he's not going far in a lot of his starts. 4 innings max. That's what it feels like. He's made 4 starts so far on the season. Hasn't gone further than the 4th inning, but also his last 2 starts, he's allowed a total of 2 earned runs. And Tampa Bay beat him last time 9-7. He pitched well against the Phillies. Didn't get the win because he only went 4 innings, but a 4-0 shutout of the Phillies. So, he's held his own, Anthony K. Now, the Orioles, the dreadful on-the-road Orioles, and again, it's the Orioles and Diamondbacks kind of going head-to-head with these long road losing streaks. Baltimore still has not won a road game since the John Means no-hitter, which came back, let's just get the correct date for it, which came back in early May. May 5th at Seattle was the last time that the Orioles won a road game. They just scored 3 runs in 3 losses to Houston at home. And they sent Dean Kramer out to the mound tonight. And Kramer faced Toronto last weekend, and Kramer did not... well, actually, he wasn't terrible because he gave up 2 early home runs, but he allowed 2 runs in 6 innings. And then Toronto blew up for 6 runs in the 9th. I remember that game. Okay, so Baltimore had that one in the... Okay, I don't want to say Baltimore ever has a game in the bag, but Baltimore was up in that game 6-2 and lost 10-7. So you'd think Kramer would try to bounce back tonight. He's a heavy dog in Buffalo against the Blue Jays. 3 games left, Houston and Detroit. And if you remember earlier in the season, the Tigers swept the Astros in a 3-game set down in Houston. So Detroit has some confidence against this team. They won 6-2, 8-2, and 6-4. And Detroit pretty much dominated them in that series. Houston, they now have won 10 consecutive games. They're rolling along, and they put up 26 runs in the 3-game series win against Baltimore. And before that, they put up 15 runs in the previous 2 games at Chicago, or at home against Chicago. So the Astros offense clicking right now. They go to Detroit, where the Tigers have actually won 3 straight. They took the 2 games from St. Louis. They won the finale against the Angels. Jose Urena goes tonight for the Tigers. 2-7 record, 5.79 ERA. He's allowed 15 runs his last 2 starts. So if you're taking Detroit, good luck on that one. And the Astros throw out Luis Garcia, who's actually been a quality find for Houston in their rotation. The Astros are 6-1 his last 7 starts, and he's allowed 1 earned run in 4 of his past 5 starts. So Garcia's been pretty quality. That's why he's laying 220 on the road. The Red Sox and Rays wrap up their series at Tropicana Field, and congratulations to Tampa Bay, the American League champions. They ended a 7-game losing streak last night, 8-2 win over Boston. So they bounced back after a couple of extra inning losses. They had some bad luck, Tampa Bay. Against Seattle, they lost on a walk-off grand slam. They lost in extras to Boston a few nights ago. They were down 7-0 at the White Sox, came back, tied it, and then lost an extra inning. So Tampa Bay had that 7-game skid. They'll be fine, but also during that stretch, a couple games didn't go their way. So let's not totally get on them. Michael Wacha, he goes tonight for the Rays. 5.19 ERA, gave up 5 earned runs and 11 hits in less than 4 innings against Seattle's last time out. He's not going to go far in these games. And Michael Wacha, at one time, a good pitcher with the St. Louis Cardinals, but that was a long time ago. 2015, he won 17 games. And since 2018, he's won 16 games. So he's just not the guy that he used to be. None of us are. The Red Sox go with Nick Pivetta tonight, and Pavetta's still a pretty good season at 6-3, but the ERA going up a bit, 4.36. He's allowed 9 earned runs his last 2 starts, both losses to the Blue Jays and the Royals. Did beat the Rays in his first start of the season at Fenway Park, but now we'll see what happens the second time around. And that total at 9 tonight. The Indians and Twins, they are the final game in the American League from Target Field. And the Indians come in with 40 wins on the season. They've had a pretty good run. They just split 2 games with the Cubs at Wrigley. The Twins coming off a split with the Reds at home, won 7-5, and then they came back from a big deficit, tied it up at 7 with the Reds on Tuesday, but then the Reds got 3 in the top of the ninth to win it 10-7, so that snapped a 5-game winning streak for Minnesota. Minnesota's kind of turning the corner. I don't want to say all the way, but they're playing better than they were because they were terrible to start the season. Jose Barrios on the mound tonight for the Twins, and again, the ace of the staff, 7-2, 3.56 ERA. Minnesota has won 7 straight starts made by Barrios. So if that's somebody you want to turn to, laying 180 tonight against J.C. Mejia, who was not good his last time out against the Pirates, allowed 6 earned runs in 5 innings in an 11-10 loss so far in 2 starts. Or I should say, in his last 3 starts, or actually it's 4 starts. Let me rephrase that. In 4 starts, Cleveland's 1-3 when Mejia's on the mound. So that's not good. And Minnesota and Cleveland, they're playing in Minnesota for the first time this season. Cleveland has won 3 times. Minnesota's won 3 times in their first 6 matchups. Last 5 have gone over the total. So that's something else to watch out for. NHL, let's get to that really quick. And the New York Islanders, got to give them credit because they were blown out by Tampa Bay 8-0 in Game 5, but they bounced back with an overtime win in Game 6 at Nassau Coliseum, 3-2. And they get 1 in the third to tie it. They got the goal in overtime to win it. And now a decisive Game 7 back in Tampa at Amalie Arena. And that's coming up on Friday night. So the Lightning, who thought they were in cruise control going to New York, not the case. And the Islanders with Barry Trotz, let's see if they can get one more. And the Stanley Cup that everyone's dreamed about, Islanders and Canadians, could happen, even though Tampa Bay and Vegas is what I'm sure a lot of the fans want. But New York's still alive. They cashed as an underdog last night, and they go Game 7 tomorrow. Tonight you have Game 6 at the Bell Center in Montreal. And the Canadians can close out the Golden Knights, which is nuts. They've won 10 of 12 since being down 3-1 to Toronto. And the Canadians have the best goalie in the world right now in Carey Price. And look, out physicaling, if you want to say that. I don't know if that's a word, the Vegas Golden Knights, but that's what it seems like for Montreal. And the Canadians with nothing to lose right now. I mean, yes, they want to be in the Stanley Cup final, but if they somehow lose the next 2 games, it was a great run. If Vegas loses to Montreal, they lost to a 4th-place team. So obviously the pressure majorly on Vegas to win tonight to get it back out to Nevada for Game 7 coming up on Saturday, assuming they beat Montreal tonight, but Vegas favored on the road, and that total sits at 5. Don't forget, you can buy picks from our esteemed roster of handicappers, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, WNBA. We'll go to Major League Baseball and go to the buy picks link under MLB, and you'll see you'll see what you can choose from. $29.95 per handicapper, and those are the handicappers that have picked so far today, and you can select any of them. And also the guaranteed pick, which is just 1 pick per handicapper, but it's the best pick of the day. $39.95, pay after it wins. So if it's a winner, you pay $39.95, but also you won. And if it's a loser, then you pay nothing. So that's simple. Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, you can find those under the Buy Picks tab. And again, UFC Vegas 30 coming up this weekend. You also have Pocono for NASCAR. Michael Roberts has the preview for that. Euro 2020 is off today, and they'll be back coming up tomorrow. So they get the day off after it's been a very busy tournament so far. And you could check out the updated odds to win the Euro 2020. But yeah, so there'll be more games coming up. In fact, let me see the matchups coming up on. Hang on a second. See that? You have a few days off, and then all of a sudden everything gets screwed up. Saturday, you have a few. Where are we here? There we go. Well, Sunday, you got Czech Republic, Netherlands, Portugal, Belgium. Those are the Sunday matchups. And coming up on Saturday, Denmark, Wales, Austria, Italy. So that's where we got coming up for the Euro 2020. If you want to look really quickly, that's who's left. And France, the favorite to win Euro 2020. And Italy, Germany, England right in the mix for the title. And it's been an exciting tournament so far. So, want to remind you again about the Daily Insider Contest. And if you want to enter, you can in the comment section below. We have, or you could put up your best bet for the night, put up your Vegas Insider user ID, along with your best bet, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, WNBA. It cannot be a live bet. It's got to be before the game. Side, total, player prop, best bet, first 5 inning bet in baseball, first half bet in basketball. It could be a game bet too for basketball, but you have all those choices. You don't have to be limited to just the side and the total. But put that in the comment section below, your Vegas Insider user ID, along with your best bet for the night. And if you win, you'll be in the drawing for a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper of your choosing on VegasInsider.com. It's a $100 value, and you get that for free. Our marketing team will reach out to you. If you do not have a Vegas Insider user ID, that's no big deal because you can create one. Go up to the big yellow register button, click on that. Free membership, register now. Create an ID, password, email address, first and last name, so we get in contact with you, and you'll be all set to go. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos on our YouTube channel, and we appreciate you being a subscriber as well. I am Kevin Rogers. Thank you so much for watching the Daily Insider. We'll be back with you coming up on Friday at noon. And as always, best of luck with your bets.